Hello, we're Steve and Elizabeth Williams. We've been coming to Plymouth Alliance for about a year and a half, and we wanted to talk to you about our story with foster care.
So several years ago, Steve and I were attending a church in central Wisconsin, and we were challenged with thinking about a 5-year or a 10-year plan. And this wasn't a financial plan or like a life plan, I guess. It was more of a spiritual growth plan. And as I was thinking about it and putting together some things for a small group we were working with, I really got to thinking that everything we're doing right now is what we would be doing in 5 or 10 years. And I kind of came to call it just kind of the Christian status quo. And it bothered me. And for whatever reason, the idea of foster care just kept coming to my mind. And it's not even that I'm a kid person. I never babysat. I never wanted a whole slew of kids. I wasn't even sure if I wanted to get married. But a lot changed. And I felt like, we've got time. I'm home with my kids anyway. What's the difference if we add another kid or two into the mix?
So Elizabeth started to work on me about this. Like she said, I wasn't terribly thrilled with the idea at first. There was a big sign that I drove by every day on the way to work that said, "Become a foster parent." And so I, after a little bit of maybe badgering, I finally said, okay, let's look into it. And she looked around our house. We had a lot of extra room. Elizabeth was stay-at-home teaching the boys, and we were in town, and it just worked out really well. And that really opened the door for me. I was willing to look at that. It was a 30-day commitment to the kids. So we signed up for that, and in 1 year's time, we had 25 kids come through our house.
At the time, we felt like, a boy similar to their age would be perfect, but we actually found that was the worst fit that we had. We kind of had the third wheel thing going on, and it didn't work out very well. Strangely, we thought teenagers would be just, we didn't want to do that. But we have a teenager that has been with us for a year and a half now. We thought maybe little kids, real young, would clash with our boys, but they have been great fits. So the thing that we thought would be perfect was actually the thing I'm really glad that we didn't stick to, because we might have had a lot of disillusionments about foster care had we been tied down to the exact age or gender that we thought at first that we would want.
So the first question we often hear is, or the first problem why I wouldn't want to do foster parenting is that I could never give up the kids. People
say it like I could never give the kids back to their biological family if it goes there. And while I understand maybe the heart between, or where the people are coming from with that, I feel like the greater need here is not you as a parent or a foster parent, but the child. And without you, where are they going to go and what are they going to have?
We also get asked a lot if we're worried that the foster kids will be a negative influence on our kids.
For this one, I actually think that overall the foster kids have just generally not been a negative influence. You as a parent, you try to protect your kids from a lot of the evil in the world, and you don't want them to know, about rape and abuse, and you don't want them to know about war. But at some point they're going to find out about that, and I feel like by doing something like having kids into our home that have experienced some of these terrible things, we're able to say, yes, there's evil in the world.
We do get a lot of looks and stares as we go into restaurants or into grocery stores. We are a multiracial family. At first it was hard, but we got used to it, and it's a little sad in some of the places that we are exposed to that, but in the end, it's the family that we are, and we are okay with it.
We've been foster parents now for 2.5 years, and I still have contact with 3 of the biological parents that we've helped their kids, get baback home. About a year ago, we got a call for 2 little boys, but I said, yeah, we'll go get the little boy from Children's, and why don't you bring his brother over too, and we'll just keep them both. It was supposed to be a 6-month-ish stay until they could go with some relatives out of state, but that didn't pan out, and over, the course of the first 2 months of having the littlest, although he recovered from a lot of his severe injuries that he had when he first came to us, he ended up needing a trach tube, which is a breathing tube. And at the time, we took him, he actually stopped breathing at our house. We took him to the emergency room at Children's Hospital, where they took him to surgery almost immediately. And they called me from the operating room and said, he's coming out with a trach. You'll have to decide if you want to keep him. And to me, that was just a strange question. I said, well, of course we'll keep him, what else would we do? And the nurse said, well, most kids in this situation would just be hospitalized indefinitely, and, until a foster family would become available, but, that's unlikely. And so I was like, well, I don't know what it takes, but, we'll do it. He's ours. What are we going to do? So you as a church family were an encouragement during that time. We had a number of people saying that they were, praying for us and asking how things were going. We also had a number of freezer meals that were provided.
It's come to our attention that in Fond du Lac County there's a church that's known as the Foster Care Church. There's the social workers call it that. They say whenever there's a shortage of foster families, they know they can go to this church and find more foster families. Foster families, unfortunately, are often short-term in that many foster kids get adopted. Only about 30% of kids end up going back to their biological parents. So it was a real eye-opener for us to see that and hear about that. And we'd just like to put out the challenge that why shouldn't all churches be called the foster family churches? Why can't Plymouth Alliance be the church where social services know they can come to find more foster families?
So if any of you are interested in becoming a foster family or talking with someone, you can certainly talk with Steve or myself. We'd be happy to have you over or talk with you after church one day. The need is huge. The reward is great. Take a chance. Take a risk. The kids are worth it. The families really neat if you get to know them. Thank you.